Welcome back to the Bullpen Mafia. We are recording live from Magic City Sound Studios. Toad, the boys are back together. I have, and I got to shout this out before we even start. I have, and Paul, you got to zoom in on the hat because Toad knows me so well. Look at this hat, dude.
I got the boys right, man.
This is, I love like Rob Lowe style hats where you just have the crest of the league. This is Tropicana Field. This is a venue. Probably, in my eyes, one of the best venues in Major League Baseball. And Toad can now attest because he's been a couple of times this year.
A couple of times.
Question.
Yeah.
How many games have you seen at Lone Depot Park? How many games have you seen at Tropicana Field?
Well, you know what? There's an app for that.
Let's do it, Toad.
Let's see. So at least 4 at the Trop. I've been to 4 at the Trop. So Rays opening day and then all 3 of the Marlins Rays series. Let's see, man. Parks visited, check-in 61. I've been to a good amount of Marlins games this year.
Okay. All right. But it's close.
Yeah. I think I've been to 6 Marlins games.
Okay. 6 Marlins, 4.
That's 5 more than you.
That is true. I need to go to the Lone Dome. I've been watching, though, and shout out to my boy Kyle Seeloff, who's doing a fantastic job. But the Marlins have been scuffling, Toad.
Yeah, man. 3 days in St. Pete, up front and center. I got to see the first place Rays take 2 of 3 from the Marlins. And we speak about this as well in our interview in the second half of this episode with ESPN's Alden González.
We haven't even talked about that. It was sick.
We'll get to that.
Yeah,
we'll
you have to stick around.
Stick with us. Stick with us here. Be patient. But yes, 3 games in St. Pete. So making 4 this season for me in the Trop. I got to say, it seems like they're going to get their new stadium in Tampa Bay, or in Tampa next to, what's it called? Where the Bucks play?
Oh
man,
I don't know. The Bucks Stadium.
The Bucks Stadium.
Next to George Steinbrenner Field.
What is it?
Tampa
It's
Bay.
the bank. Raymond James.
Raymond James, you're
next to Raymond James. It looks like the Rays are going to break ground, I think sooner rather than later, hopefully, on their new stadium next to Raymond James. I get the sense that a lot of people are going to miss the Trop. Really unique venue.
Count on me as one of those.
This isn't hyperbole. Like, I really recommend any baseball fan who's within driving distance of St. Pete to go to a game at the Trop. It is a very unique experience in that it almost feels like you're going in a time machine a little bit. That it's like feels extremely 90s and early 2000s. But it's just like there's great sight lines. It's like not the biggest park, so like there's not a bad seat in the house. Like we sat in 3 different sections for all 3 games, and it was an incredible experience 3 out of 3 times.
And we always talk about it at length, the ability to go to a baseball park, a different one, every single time and feel like you're walking into someone else's home because it's totally different. And the experience of going to a park, and for me, my affinity with Tropicana Field was, as a kid, our dad would take us every summer to one game at Tropicana, and it was just, the novelty of being in a dome. We had never been in a dome stadium. I've mentioned before the Dippin' Dots, like there was just cool things that Tropicana did that made it feel much different than what we had here. And then, I think from a baseball perspective, Toad, we're watching the Marlins North Star, right? Like the Tampa Bay Rays are what the Marlins want to be.
Well, what's frustrating is you watch the Rays play and they do the fundamentals really well. They do the little things right. And that kind of snowballs into games going their way. Almost like they earn the right for the ball to be 2 inches fair for them, for them to have a play at the plate that they just beat, or they just have the tag at second base down perfectly. So outside of like having maybe a better roster than the Marlins, I just feel like they do a lot of those things much more efficiently than the Marlins. And as like baseball purist or whatever, like it's frustrating to see your team struggle with simple things like base running, sacrifice bunts, if McCullough
holding leads.
Yeah, if McCullough goes to the bullpen for a lefty-lefty matchup, their lefties get the lefties out.
Right.
Our lefties throw 3 pitches and 2 of them are home runs.
Yeah.
Like, little like things like that just
it's
incredibly frustrating.
I saw an interesting stat yesterday. SVP actually had it on SportsCenter because the Rays are 18 games over 500. They open up a 4-game lead as of today in the American League East, which it's not like the Yankees are playing bad. They're 10 games over, but the Rays are playing that much better. The Rays are last in strikeout rate in Major League Baseball, so they don't strike out. and they're number one in contact percentage, right? So the two things that sort of baseball's gone the other way, right? We see strikeouts at a super high rate. Everyone's trying to hit the ball out of the yard, so they're trying to get their home runs up. The Rays are kind of the opposite, so they're kind of zagging what everyone's zigging, right? Like they're doing, hey, we're not going to strike out. We're going to put the ball in play. We're going to steal bases and play good defense.
So it's like any good football coach, to me, is the analogy, because when you're a head football coach, you want to get your best players in positions to really succeed. And like, if you're calling an offense, you're going to lean into what your team does well, and you're going to make it as easy for them to score touchdowns, to have long runs, to be an efficient passer, so on and so forth, right? The Rays do that for their team. It's like the equivalent in baseball. They have an old school leadoff hitter in Chandler Simpson who slaps the crap out of the ball and
just runs.
And just runs. He could turn a single into a double into a triple, and a triple into an inside the park home run. And every time he's on third base, whoever's on the mound, it's like a ticking time bomb in their mind, like, when is this freak going to steal second base? They have power hitters who mix in hitting for average with Junior Caminero, who's, I think he's hitting below 250 right now, but Junior Caminero is a star. He hits for power. Yandy Diaz, we've talked about at length before, is kind of their like do-it-all player. He hits for average. He hits nukes. He has a ton of RBIs. And then you have someone like our newest bobblehead member, Jonathan.
Look at this. I mean, come on.
Jonathan Aranda, who played for Mexico in the WBC, their first baseman, who seems like he's going to might be an all-star this season. It's really solid at first. He hits for power. He hits for average. They have more of a traditional defensive shortstop in Taylor Walls, who's just a vacuum up the middle of the infield. They got guys like Richie Palacios, who is not a house.
You know ball, dude.
Yeah, man.
Are we a Tampa Bay Rays podcast?
And we might be, man. Like, I used to hate the Rays, and I've grown to appreciate the team just because of what they do well. Like it's an easy team to root for. It reminds me of like the 2003 Marlins, man. Like, they have characters. They have guys who play hard. They have a manager who's really plugged in with his team, who makes good decisions, who seems to always go to the right guy in the bullpen.
I think too, we're obviously recording this piece after we had Alden González on. I think Alden alludes to, like, as Marlins fans, like, that's what we need to aspire to, right? Like, you watch the Rays play and you wonder, when do we get to that point? When are we going to be? Because he made a really great point, and I don't want to spoil the back half of this episode, but Bruce Sherman hired Peter Bendix from the Rays for a reason, because he appreciated what the Rays were doing with a much smaller and limited payroll, and the player development side was the biggest emphasis. Hey, our minor leaguers got to become big leaguers, and our big leaguers got to get better. I think that's the gist of what the Rays were doing. They're just doing a lot better than we are right now, and you are firsthand witness to
man. Easy team to root for. A team that maximizes every ounce of productivity out of every one of their players, and it's not just on the offensive side. Shane McClanahan looks like his old self. Nick Martinez, who we are a huge fan of, is having the best season of his career. And Alden González, his words, not mine. He has Cy Young numbers. So Nick Martinez likely going to be an all-star. Their bullpen, I think it's a little bit of closer by
committee. It always is, though. I feel like they figure it out.
But it's just awesome, man. It's like, if you're a baseball enthusiast who
go to Tampa,
who loves that like old school kind of lineup where you still got your power guy hitting fourth, you got contact guys at 1 and 2. They steal a lot of bases. They play a really great defense. Go to a Rays game. Go to the Trop before it most likely gets detonated at some point
for good.
But one more thing that's happening on the Trop, something that's sweeping the nation of baseball, is Tarps Off. The Tarps Off movement, Javi. It started in St. Louis.
Well, let's talk about the St. Louis Tarps Off movement, because you got to give credit to the OGs. So these guys were in a particular section in the outfield. How did they all get there is my question. Like, we've seen it at football games, right? So it's like starts with a couple, then people just gravitate to this section.
I'm pretty sure it was the Stephen F. Austin Club baseball team. Like, they were in St. Louis for a tournament or something, and they must have like had the whole section reserved. So they were already there. So I think
the boys went tarps off.
The boys went tarps off. The Cardinals rallied.
Well, they rallied, they won, and then the cool thing was, and I think this is where the connection between the fan base and the team gets so strong.
Yeah.
Ollie Marmol
invited them into the clubhouse.
And he's been maligned, right? He was kind of on the fritz there. No one knew if he was going to come back. First of all, the Cardinals are having an unbelievable season. 10 games over 500. Shout out our boy John Jay. He brings those guys into the clubhouse, has them enjoy like time with the players. They go tarps off, everyone's screaming and yelling. But he went a step further. He bought them all tickets for the next game. And then he made it a thing. So they took it to the,
totally leaning into it.
And it was free PR. My algorithm is just dudes taking their shirts off.
Guys with their shirts off.
Having the time of their lives.
Kind of crazy. But.
At a baseball game. And it's so cool to see because, again, look, man, and it's early in the baseball season. I hate using that phrase, but you need something to rally around as a team.
And we're getting to the dog days of summer.
You're getting to the point where teams are falling behind and teams are really falling out of contention. The Cardinals had a walk-off home run, and the guy is literally waving a fake shirt, rounding second. Like, that's so cool. We've seen it out at other places, Todd. You were gonna go on and say it.
Yeah, they've done it in Anaheim. The Trop, I think, on Tuesday against the Orioles, they had a ton of, it must have been like college night or something, because it looked like all of UT or all of USF was in left field. It's hilarious. It looked like 1,000 guys, like just with their shirts
Are
up.
you actually watching? Like, can you see the game?
Who cares?
We need to put on Meta. If anyone goes to a tarp soft section that's a Mafia fan, please wear Meta glasses so we can see, like, put us in there.
So I actually really brought this up because Marlins attendance has been struggling lately. And it's not a secret. They experimented with this 4:00 start with the Braves on Tuesday, which was odd, which had zero impact on attendance because, well, people work.
Have you, I would love, like, the Palmetto at that time to try and get to Marlins Park. Like, I don't think people realize
836 too.
Anything.
The Miami Signature Bridge. Like, how are we getting to Marlins Park at by 3:30 on a Tuesday? So I want to use the tarps off section's inspiration and see if we can come up with some Miami themed sections to help the Marlins with their attendance. Like, what would be the Miami Marlins equivalent of a tarps off section? So I have one. I dropped this in a group chat earlier. I think a sea creature section, like you dress up as sea animals, like leaning into the Marlins, and we could call it the deep blue section. Right? And if you dress up like a sea animal, you get a free ticket, you get a $10 voucher for beer or something.
If you dress up like a sea creature, your drink should be paid for the entire night.
Open bar.
Like, pal, thank you for coming. You are drink top shelf for this guy. But I like that. I mean, look, I think, go on. Tell me more about the sea creature. Like, if you were going, what are you wearing?
Me?
Yeah.
You can go two ways. I can repurpose my Marlins SpongeBob jersey. That counts as a sea creature, but I'd probably go maybe as a dolphin, and just like do the whole thing, lean into it, put a blowhole or something. I don't know, man, but I have other ideas for other sections.
I mean, look,
how about a Santero section? Everyone wears all white. Could you imagine?
No comment. I'm not entertaining.
Imagine a Santeria section in Lone Depot Park against the dramatic contrast of the blue seats. Like, imagine 1,000 people in all white. That is incredible, right? And you know what they could do pregame? Instead of a first pitch, it's the first chicken. And you sacrifice the chicken, and you have Billy the Marlin drink the blood of the chicken. And I bet you the Marlins would go on a 10-game winning streak.
I mean, they certainly go on a winning streak. We've seen stranger things. I was thinking, so two things. Number one, along your sea creature section, if they want to do tarps off, they should call it like the chum bucket.
Okay.
Maybe get like college age kids to go to the park. Tarps off, kind of degeneracy where you allow it. You just kind of look the other way.
Or maybe like a lifeguard section.
Yeah,
everyone
like bros.
Or what is it? What's the show? The Beach Babe show?
Baywatch.
Baywatch section.
We could do that. I was also thinking, like, we have a large elderly population. Let's get them out to the game, like a cigar section or something like that. You know, the abuelos can come out to the park, look the other way again, smoke a little cigar in the outfield. Like,
hey, Jack McKeon did it in the dugout. Why
Jim Leland was smoking darts in the dugout. Like, we've seen way worse.
What would you call that? The retiree section. There has to be the octogenarian section octogenarian instead of section 8. That'd be good.
We need a tarps off section at Marlins Park. I don't know what it would look like because I think it'd be depressing.
There's more. You're leaving some meat on the bone here. I think we could go mafia section, like not bullpen mafia, but like actual, you know, like Miami drug dealer section. What do you call it? Like what'd you call that in the 80s? What was the documentary called?
Cocaine Cowboys.
Yeah, Cocaine Cowboys section. You can go, being bald is in again, so you can go bald section.
Bald bros.
The bald bros. I think that would be great. I think the opportunities are endless. The Marlins marketing has nothing to lose.
Literally nothing to lose.
You might as well.
We had a game at 4:10 on a Tuesday. Like, we had nothing to lose.
Yeah. So, you know, but it has to happen organically. That's what someone said in a group chat, and they're not wrong. Like, you can't force it. You can't force it. We need to encourage the Santeros to go on their own.
I'm out of ideas there, dude.
Yeah.
But I one more point on the tarps off section in the Cardinals, right? Like, I think what it does for like a baseball team, and speaking more so from experience, like, the pressure's off the guys in the clubhouse. Like, the guys in the clubhouse are watching the same, they're getting fed the same algorithm you are. They're watching the guys enjoying the game. They want to be a part of that. Like, your locker room has now become an extension of that tarps off section. And you have something to rally around early in the year, in a year where the Cardinals probably had no real playoff aspirations outside of probably the guys in that clubhouse. So, like, you think about baseball, you think about how long a season is. How many times do you see, like a couple of years ago, the Oh My God Mets, right? Like, Jose Iglesias sings this song, which was not very good.
A rallying cry.
A rallying cry. And, you know, again, for us baseball fans in South Florida, we're looking for something, for anything. So if the Santeros want to go Toad, I don't think Hope Todorov's going to be.
I think that would be hilarious, man. I think we can do a Santero section. That'd be really funny.
I don't know how we go dressed in all white.
Dude, and we'll bring like rubber chickens.
Oh my god,
so good.
Oh man,
I actually want to ask you something before we go to the second half of this episode with Alden González. A video came across my feed from a Cleveland Guardians game. They were playing the Detroit Tigers. They called up Travis Bazzana about a month ago, their top prospect, the Australian, who was absolutely fantastic in the WBC. Tanner Bybee, who's been in the league for a few years, is pitching. It's obviously a big game. It's within the division, and Bybee's pitching really well. Travis Bazzana has a pretty tough air of a play that's completely makeable, and they get back to the dugout, and Tanner Bybee, instead of blowing up on the rookie, he like took him under his wing, gave him a pep talk like, "Yo, I got you. No big deal." You can't tell obviously exactly what's being said, but you can tell that it was a veteran giving a young player encouragement, like, "Hey, it's just one play. Let's move on." And then Bazzana, I think, ends up either having the go-ahead base hit RBI or the game tying in the 8th or 9th inning. So, Javi, from your experience as a pitcher, have you ever had those moments where you had to look past your frustration, like when you were either a few years into your minor league career or as an upperclassman at UM? Like, what's it like in a dugout when a younger guy or even a fellow veteran kind of lets you down?
Yeah, I thought that moment, I'm glad you brought that up. We didn't even have that on the rundown, but that was a really cool moment for, like, I don't want to say baseball etiquette, but like locker room camaraderie, right? Bazzana makes a really bad error. It was a double play ball, routine double play ball. He makes a bad throw. Runners on first and second. What happened next was Tanner Bybee picked that guy off at second. So he does an inside move, picks off the guy at second base. So now there's one out. He catches the ball back from Bazzana after the pickoff and points at him and like, come on, I got you. Goes into the dugout, puts his arm around him, to your point. And, again, baseball's a really long season. My errors as a pitcher are the home run balls, are the doubles in the gap.
And you commit a lot of those all the time.
I commit a ton of those. Yeah. And for me, I would hate if the guys behind me, I have my back to them. So the guys behind me, when I make one of those pitches, are throwing their hands up or rolling their eyes. the moment you show up one of your players, I feel like it's one of the most disrespectful things because the game is so hard. Bazana didn't want to make that error. He made the error. We made the play. You go back into the dugout, you kind of envelop that guy and you tell him like, hey, we're all in this together, dude. There's a 162. That's not going to be the last error you make. I'm going to give up home runs. I'm going to need you to make a diving play when I give up a frozen rope in the hole, right? So I think when you're sit on my side now where you're out of the game, like those are the moments you appreciate so much where you probably don't deserve that compassion, the compassion that Bybee gave to Bazana. But when you get it, it's such an uplifting point. And I don't know if Bazana got the hit because he felt better, after that interaction. Maybe not.
But at the very least, he's going up to the plate with less pressure.
And you breathe confidence into somebody. And we've seen it. We talk about it with Alden after, like how difficult it is to stay at the major league level. Like playing this game is very hard. And at the level that these guys are playing it at, it's cool to see, and I thought it was a great moment and a really teachable moment. Yeah. If you're a coach, I know we have some little league coaches that now watch, like show that to your kids and really help them understand that, the bad plays, the clippable stuff we see so much in meme culture of the bad stuff, like there should be more of that where the camera pans into the dugout and you show Bybee wrapping his arm around Bazana and telling him, hey, dude, like you're an important piece here. We need you. And
I think it says a lot, too, about the culture in the Guardians dugout and clubhouse that Stephen Vogt has developed through. This is his third season, I think, as their manager. Like Cleveland is in the same boat as the Rays, Marlins, Milwaukee, where they're trying to win between the spreadsheets. And culture play like that goes a long way in a long season. And I just thought it was fantastic. Like I thought of you immediately, like just as a pitcher. Like you don't see that from a pitcher very often, I think, especially a guy who's not quote unquote a star. Like Tanner Bybee's a solid big league pitcher, but I thought it was a really, really special moment in a long season on a random Wednesday night. Like baseball gives you something you've never seen before every night, whether it's a play or something in a dugout. But yeah, so we're really excited about this episode. We have a fantastic interview with a Miami local who is now LA-based, Laguna Beach-based.
Long Beach,
excuse me, Long Beach-based, Alden González. He went to ABC High School. He's a Miami guy. He's a
Marlins fan.
Grew up a huge Marlins fan. Sounds like he still might be a Marlins fan, but he's unbiased.
It was very cool, and we're extremely thankful to him. We reached out to him after he wrote the article about the Marlins, which we'll put in the show notes.
Yep.
But it was a great article. It highlights how the Marlins are trying. It kind of peels the curtain back. Something we've been asking for as fans for a really long time. And I think we finally got some answers from, albeit a very, kind of out of the blue article, right? Like he told us how this all came about and he was very upfront that he asked the questions and this is what they told him. And this is how the Marlins are trying to win. If you want to, again, peel the curtain back and understand what's going on in that front office, make sure you stick around for the back half of this episode. As always, like and subscribe, follow us, engage with us. Let us know about your tarps off section. That is, Toad gave us some bangers. I think, if people are listening and you want to go to the game,
hey, we'll be there.
We'll be there.
We've been to some white parties. We can put together a Santero outfit. But Alden González from ESPN.com is coming up next. We are now joined by Alden González of ESPN, ESPN's baseball reporter based out of Los Angeles, California. Is that right, Alden? Thank you for hopping on with the Bullpen Mafia.
Long Beach specifically, LA area. Yes, sir.
Long Beach. Do you go to any Dirtbags games by chance?
My kids, I have small kids. They went to one baseball game, one major league game at Petco Park, but their first 3 games were Dirtbag games.
Wow, so yes. Dude, Dirtbags, the Dirtbag baseball history. So growing up in South Florida, Miami used to play everybody, and I going to the University of Miami, I used to go to a ton of games. The Dirtbags were one of the biggest draws when Miami. Jared Weaver, Jason Vargas, some of those teams were absolutely stacked coming to play in Miami.
Sneaky good baseball program out there. But Alden, thank you so much for coming on with us, man. This is special for us because we were just talking about it. We are Miami's preeminent baseball podcast, and you're one of us, man. You're born and raised. You're a Miami guy through and through. So if you could. Baseball players or not, we love to learn people's background and how they fell in love with baseball, how you ended up at ESPN. If you could, tell us about how this all started, maybe a little bit about your baseball background in Miami.
Yeah, and I told you a little bit about this before we went on, but Westchester born, West Kendall raised, grew up right next to Braddock, played baseball my whole life. I mean, it's a very common, I'm kind of a cliche, but sort of played baseball my whole life. And it was actually like my high school baseball coach at Archbishop Carroll. I'll shout out his name. His name's Lázaro Yanes. He got me into writing. He told me, he's like, you should write for this monthly high school magazine or whatever. And I fell in love with it. And I've been writing about and talking about sports ever since my senior year of high school. Went to the University of Florida. I'll just give you a quick Spark Notes version because nobody cares. But went to the University of Florida, landed an internship with MLB.com, moved to New York, and then I moved out to Southern California in 2012 to cover the Angels. I covered them for 5 years. ESPN hired me to cover the NFL when the Rams moved from St. Louis to Los Angeles in 2016. Never covered the NFL before, but I thought it'd be cool to work for ESPN. Covered them for a couple of years, and then I got into a more of a multimedia LA role, and eventually I got back into baseball, which honestly is what I've always wanted to do.
Yeah.
I love baseball, and I've been covering baseball at a quasi-national level since 2020, 2021. I do a lot of Dodgers because I'm based in LA. But, I cover enough of the Dodgers in October. So, but before that, I like to branch out and sort of hit on other stuff because there's so much cool stuff going on around the industry.
We're jealous that you get to cover baseball in October. Todd and I are dying for the opportunity to do that.
It's been
2003 was a great year, man.
Yeah, we've been saying that for 25 years.
We don't have any more material to talk about 03.
Well, we actually... Alden, you're a Gator. That means we got the Florida hat trick because Javi pitched at UM. I went to FSU, and you're a Gator. So this is very rare.
Another depressed. My Canes haven't beat either of your teams in a couple of years. So
yeah.
But you mentioned Lázaro Yanes. Lázaro Yanes is the head coach at Miami-Dade Community College. Miami-Dade Community College is going to nationals, so that's another full circle
Sharks
moment.
Up.
Wow,
Sharks,
good for him.
Yeah.
Alden, MDC's a wagon.
Yeah, dude. I mean, look, baseball in South Florida, people don't realize this is one of the premier capitals for baseball in the world. The reason we reached out to Alden was because he wrote about the Marlins, and we thought it was extremely timely to have him on. He had a great article that came out in ESPN earlier in the week, and kind of highlighted what the Marlins sort of are doing, right? And Alden, you mentioned that they're at the cutting edge of Major League Baseball right now. You highlighted a bunch of different, sort of, I wouldn't call them theories, but they're doing things differently because they kind of have to.
Strategies. We'll call them strategies. But let's take a step back before we get into the article. Alden, how did you all the way on the West Coast get intertwined with the Marlins and what they're doing on the analytical side and what Bendix and Gabe Kapler are the direction they've given the Marlins?
Well, I mean, look, you guys saw how much publicity, a lot of it negative, they got when they started calling pitches from the dugout last September, when they brought that out to the major league level last September. Everybody was aware of that. It was so different. No, I don't think anybody had ever done that at the major league level. And it was such a risk to sort of do that and put a target on your back. But before that, I had heard about how they were handling those between starts bullpen sessions where they were basically treating them as simulated games. And no team was really doing that I'm aware of. And so that's what initially caught my eye about them doing things differently. And I heard a lot about them sort of practicing with game-like intensity and good and bad from it. I think there were some sort of younger players who maybe were resistant to some of that. I think a lot of that too is that there's just a certain way to do things in baseball that's embedded in the culture, and it's difficult to change that. But then I learned about a bunch of other stuff that they were doing. One thing that's it's just a clause in the article because they don't do it anymore. But I heard that they were practicing at night, which was so different. Think about that. You play a game and you practice afterwards. And so I was just intrigued from that standpoint. And then so I made it a point to go out to Jupiter, where the spring training facility is. Sometime in March, I was covering the WBC and I made a quick trip up to Jupiter to talk to a bunch of people from the team and just learning about the why and the how. But I think the why is fascinating, right? And I know we'll get into this more, but they kind of feel like they have to. They feel like they have no other choice because that's the only way that they can compete in an industry with teams that have a lot more resources than them.
Alden, when you talk about the why, one of the things that Eric and I always talk about is, free agents don't necessarily flock to South Florida for a lot of different reasons. And I think the Marlins haven't had a splashy free agent signing in quite some time. Obviously, Pete Fairbanks was the one this offseason, but how are they kind of explaining this new cutting edge, the simulated bullpens? How do you sell that to a free agent in the offseason?
It's hard. I mean, I think, let me not say hard because it hasn't been hard yet from what I've been told. I did hear that, and I don't know any of the specific names, but I did hear that there were some free agents who balked at this, which is understandable.
Right.
Especially guys who are super established, they don't want to do things differently, especially guys who have had success doing things a certain way. And the Marlins have been very open about that. I talked to Peter Bendix and Gabe Kapler about that because, I thought it was really interesting that this off season represented their first real test in terms of selling this in the open market, because by this point, the industry was well aware of the fact that they were, doing these sort of pitch design sessions, right? That they were calling pitchers from the dugout. And it's how would free agents respond to that? And Chris Paddock was before he got released, he was a huge advocate of these pitch design sessions. Pete Fairbanks had some reservations on pitch calling, the efficiency of it. He's a guy who uses up every second of the pitch clock. Is that going to impact him? And I think one thing that Peter Bendix told me was that look, we're an open book with free agents. We try to be with all players, but with free agents specifically here, we try to tell them this is what we're doing. This is what we're about. It's kind of a blanket approach that we have throughout the organization. And if you don't like it, that's totally cool. That just means that we're not a fit. But this is what we're going to do. They're going to do this. So you either like it or you don't. And so they'd rather be upfront. It's obviously the normal way to be, but they'd rather be upfront with this,
right,
with players, and to truly know whether you're a fit or not. Because if you're sort of I'm not so sure about it, that player is not going to be a fit. Now, if this goes the way they want it to, right, and they have more success and they start to establish some sustainability, and they go after real big dollar free agents eventually, that's their goal, is that going to have an impact? We'll see. But I think the more time goes on, the more these players are sort of experiencing this stuff at the amateur levels anyway. Analytics is so deeply embedded at major college programs and major high school programs that so many of these guys come up doing this stuff. So it's not as foreign.
Alden, you mentioned speaking with Kapler, with Bendix, and this being truly their first year in the offseason of experimenting with this and being transparent with free agents. But as Marlins fans being down here, to be totally frank, the fan base is running out of patience. I mean, you grew up down here, you know that it's a fickle market and people just want a winner. In your conversations with them, did they ever allude to a timeline or when we could expect some more results on the field, some more wins in the win column? Because right now, it's been a tough slog for the first month and a half of the season. So did they give you hey, year 3, year 4, that's when we're really expecting to compete for the wild card or even the division?
No, and they're not going to do that. And I don't know if they see it that way in terms of a timeline for when they're going to compete. The way that they look at it as, and right or wrong, is just they need to push the limits every single day. And then if they do that every single day, just sort of see where that ends up. I think they had a good, correct me if I'm wrong here, but they had a really nice sort of year over year sort of jump in wins from 2024-25.
Yeah, last season it was the most win over
17 wins.
Yeah, plus 17 wins. So it was the largest year-over-year improvement in Marlins history. It was the most in Major League Baseball. So I think unfairly, the fan base, and I'm guilty of this, Javi's guilty of this, we had higher expectations for this year because it's arguably the same roster, and technically they've made some improvements. The bullpen is supposed to be stronger, although Fairbanks has struggled, and the starting pitching is nowhere, I think, where anyone expected it to be. They've completely fallen off the rails here. But yeah, I think maybe I am pleading with you to give us some hope, right?
You're in a tough place.
Yeah, that maybe this is going to get better before it gets worse. But right now, like, I mean, not to be like too the bearer of bad news or like Debbie Downer, but it's been a rough week for the Marlins. They haven't won a series since I think they were in LA. Robbie Snelling, one of their top pitching prospects, is going to get Tommy John. Thomas White is on the IL, and a lot of people down here are practically counting down the days that Sandy Alcantara will probably be a Dodger. So you might get a front row seat for a Miami guy.
Yeah.
But I guess I'm looking to you to provide Marlins fans some hope, since you've spoken directly with the leadership that hasn't necessarily been very public facing with the media down here and even the fans.
I'm surprised by that. I didn't realize that Peter and Gabe hadn't been public facing, and that's a shame. I wish that weren't the case. I will say, like, so I grew up a Marlins fan. All right, like, so just to give you some background here, obviously, like, I grew up in Miami. Marlins fans are rightly among the more cynical fan bases in baseball. Okay, and it comes from a very real place. Like, it begins in 1997, where they win the World Series and they just demolish that team, and they're like the worst team in baseball in 1998. And then it continues with 2003. They win a World Series that they weren't really supposed to win, and I guess at that time, maybe they tried to augment the roster a little bit. Like, didn't they sign like Carlos Delgado or something like that? Like, after that, right? Like, I'm not mixing this up here, am I?
No, you're right.
And they were fine, but they didn't build on any of that momentum whatsoever. And then they have, like, when I started covering baseball, like Hanley Ramirez and Mike Jacobs and Harry Cantu and stuff like that, and Dan Ugla, and like they build a ballpark. And they sell the market. They build a taxpayer-funded market, and they sell the market on, like, this is going to be sustainability. And they go after Albert Pujols and all these guys in free agency. And then after just a few months, it's another fire sale. Like, it's just like, and I've made this point before, and there are still, like, diehard baseball fans, and I'm sure I can count you guys as one of them, who, like, just want the team to do well. But I think the place that the Marlins have gotten to overall in that market is the worst place you can get to as a franchise, which is just apathy.
Yeah.
I feel like there is just general apathy towards the Marlins in the Miami market, where it's like there's some anger, but it's not as much anger as you would think. People are just like, yeah, we don't care. Like, we don't care anymore. And now, if I could bring it to the current moment, I think this front office realizes that in a way, and this is just my own perception, and they feel like with that they could, like, sort of push the envelope and, like, try a bunch of stuff and experiment, because, like, they don't really have the microscope on them. Like, the Tampa Bay Rays sort of do a bunch of different stuff, and I think being in a smaller market without a big fan base helps them sort of do a bunch of weird different things and experiment. And I think, and this is something that Peter and I talked about, is like he's trying to achieve sustainability. Yeah. All right. Like, sustainability has never happened in this market. Like, Marlins history, and I wrote this in stories, like, Marlins history is composed of, like, teams that were, like, quickly assembled with a bunch of stars and then quickly dismantled. Like, their farm system became like a farm system for the richer teams who would trade for those guys once they got really, really good. And so, like, they feel like there has to be a different way, and they have to do things differently. And so that's what they're doing. That's their path in their minds to, like, building a sustainable team. Like, it sounds cheesy, but, like, the line they keep saying is, like, get better players and get players better and get players better faster. Like, they need to win there in terms of, like, development, right? And for them, and the reason why they do the pitch calling from the dugout, the reason why they do these pitch design sessions is that they are adamant that development doesn't stop in the major leagues. Players need to keep getting better at the major league level, all right? And so, like, and that's going to be the test, right? Like, Jacob Marsee and Owen Casey, like, are those guys going to develop the way Xavier Edwards and Otto Lopez did, right? Like, is Kyle Stowers going to, like, build on last year, right? Is Yuri Perez going to get back on track? Like, that's what it is. Their sustainability right now is going to come down to their ability to make those guys better and then draft better than everybody else, develop those guys faster and better than everybody else, and have them come up through the system. And then that's when they start competing. How long that takes, I have no idea, but they feel like that's their path and that's the way to do it.
Well, I think, you perfectly led into my next question, which is guys like Marsee, Casey, Stowers, Norby, who were parts of, the next sort of rebuild of the Marlins. We have to find out if they're actually franchise cornerstone pieces, right? Because I think we've invested time, we've invested resources. Those were pieces of trades that we traded players at the major league level that were fan favorites for these guys. Like now they have to take and kind of hold up their end of the bargain and be that next crop of big leaguers. My thing is this year they haven't gotten off to the hottest of starts, Alden. I think we expect a little bit more from Kyle Stowers. He was injured to start the year. Marsee hasn't been great. He's coming along as of late. But the next question we have to ask ourselves and the front office has to determine is, hey, are these guys worth investing time and money for the next 4 or 5 years? And does a contract come at the end of it? And I think we're kind of reaching that point. Alden, one more thing about that article that I found really interesting was you mentioned Gabe Kapler said we have no choice, right? So it feels like this is kind of the last stand for, like the Marlins have tried so many different ways. Now they're going to try it this way. Do you think there's buy-in at the ownership level that this front office kind of has carte blanche and can do this however they want for however long they need?
Yes, I do. I think that's why Peter took the job, because he feels like he has a long leash and he feels like ownership is going to be invested in this. And I think it's evident by the fact that they spent $180 million renovating their spring training facility. And they're installing hitting and pitching labs that are going to be right. I think they broke ground on that as soon as spring training ended. And I think Peter got there coming from a Tampa Bay Rays organization that is among the top in terms of infrastructure and analytics and stuff and resources and stuff like that. Peter got to Miami and he's like, we need this. This is what we need. You want, and this is an appeal to owners who don't want to spend a lot of money. It's you don't want to have a mid-tier payroll and you want to spend as little as possible on your roster. Well, and win. Well, then we need to invest in this stuff that's going to sort of get the most out of players. And that's Peter has been adamant in telling me this, and he's told me this a couple of times, that Miami is not Tampa. He keeps saying that. And I think what he means by that is that and he referenced the WBC, which I know a lot of people often do, but it's there's a real love for baseball in the community is what he says. And the WBC is an example of it, blah, blah, blah. I think what he means is that there's a bigger market where there's more upside financially because there is a new ballpark there, or what's not new anymore, but there's a ballpark there and there's a future there, right? You would think that eventually they can get to these payroll levels that are at least respectable. But they need sort of Bruce Sherman wanted the Rays thing. Look what the Rays are doing. They don't spend a lot of money and they keep winning and they're in the American League East and they keep going toe to toe with the Yankees. We need to do that. Let's go get Peter Bendix. And to answer your question, getting Peter Bendix means I'm going to give you money to invest in this stuff. So yes, I am 100% certain that he's on board with that.
I've always been a big fan of the Rays. Eric is kind of following along my way of the Rays, but it's a perfect segue. You cover baseball at a national level. What is going on in the American League East? The Tampa Bay Rays are unbelievable, Alden. Every time you look up and you look at the AL East standings, somehow the Rays find themselves in the toughest division in baseball.
Dude, Alden, I went to Tampa. I went to St. Pete last weekend. I spent 3 games watching the Rays practically dismantle the Marlins. They just seem to do everything right. I have a theory that if you do the fundamentals well and you run the bases properly, things will just start going your way. Right. And I feel like when I watch the Rays, it's every little thing possible that can go their way does. If a guy gets jammed in on the wrist, it somehow finds its way over Connor Norby's head and it's a triple for Chandler Simpson. Or you drop a bunt and the throw goes into right field. And then, it's just incredible. So I think what we're getting at is how can they do it? Why isn't it happening here yet? And, from your perspective, from a national perspective, what's so why are the Rays so different than everybody else? And I guess the most similar comp is Milwaukee.
Yes, and you know what? It's also the Dodgers. I hate to say it. Well, they have more money than everybody else, but they also do things about as well as everybody else. And Andrew Friedman started that. He started that culture in Tampa, where people continually leave that organization and the machine keeps churning. And while I appreciate all the things you said about like base running and like doing all the little things and playing fundamentally sound, I think it's a lot simpler than that. I think it's they find good players and they make them better, right? Like you look at like nobody had any idea if Jonathan Aranda was going to stick in the big leagues, and look what he's doing. Like, look, they acquired Junior Caminero, and like he's a superstar. Yandy Diaz continues to be incredibly productive. Like their starting pitching has gotten like beat up over the years, but like now you're seeing like Shane McClanahan and Drew Rasmussen,
our guy Nick Martinez,
and Nick Martinez, Miami's own, is like he's put up Cy Young numbers. Yeah. I mean, it's incredible.
It's crazy.
They don't always do well at this, right? Like they went and signed Cedric Mullins. I think last I looked, like he was not. It did not look well there. But and their offense is like 3 or 4 hitters that are carrying them right now. But they have good pitching. They have good starting pitching. They can always build a bullpen. And like, look. I mean, I'm guilty of it. I thought that the Rays were going to finish last in the American League East, and it wasn't even going to be close. It's like the Orioles got better. The Blue Jays just made the World Series. I thought the Red Sox were going to be better, and the Yankees were clearly very good. It's like, how are the Rays possibly going to do this? And here they are, like at the top of the sport. And it's because, like, and this is the thing, like, if you're a Marlins fan, like, that's the aspiration right there. And if you want to be really optimistic, if you're a Marlins fan, it's, we can be the Rays, but with more money potentially, right? Like that's the dream scenario for the Marlins. But they do all the little things really, really well. It sounds boring and it's hard to like capture, but like at every level, at the minor league level, at amateur scouting, at pro scouting, at advancing, at like the guys that they pick up on the waiver wire and like what they see in their biomechanical data or their pitch mix that they could just sort of tweak just a little bit to make them just a little bit better. Like it's just all these little small things that add up. They've mastered it. You brought up the Brewers. The Brewers have mastered that. And that's where the Marlins want to get to.
That's hope. That gives me hope. I'm smiling.
Yeah,
I have hope.
You want to attract free agents, but we're losing our local guys. Even our writers are going west. So you expect me to believe big leaguers are going to come here?
That's fair enough. Players love Miami, by the way. I will say, players love Miami. So many of them live in Florida in the off season, in Orlando, in Tampa,
in Weston. My gosh,
in Weston, Doral. I was just like Miguel Rojas was telling me yesterday. He's gonna open up like a batting cage in like Weston or something like that. Like it's like they all live there. Yeah. Like they would love to live in Miami. You know, like I've spoken to like so many like Latino players who tell me that like I wish like Miami was like viable because I would love to just live there.
That's getting clipped. Sorry.
Alden, you were at the Padres Dodgers series earlier in the week. Give us the skinny on that. Is that our NL preview, sort of the pennant race goes through the West again?
The Braves are really good. The Braves might be the best team in baseball.
Whoa.
They're scary good. I was watching them closely as of a week or two ago, so I haven't kept up with them in the last week or so, but like the last I did, they were getting Acuna back. I know he's back now. Spencer Strider looked like he was like Spencer Strider again. Their offense is elite. The back end of their bullpen is dominant, and if Chris Sale and Bryce Elder and Spencer Strider are doing that, like I don't know who's beating them, honestly. The Dodgers are going to be right there. The Padres are weird. Their bullpen is dominant. Their rotation is like patchwork, and their lineup, they've gotten nothing from their 3 best hitters: Jackson Merrill, Fernando Tatis Jr., and Manny Machado. I actually looked this up last night. They've combined for an OPS below 600.
Wow.
I don't know how they keep winning. I really don't, especially because they're not a team that has a ton of depth. If you're being optimistic, you're thinking, like, that's going to turn around. Like, they're going to hit because, duh. but they haven't, and it's almost June. So, we'll see. I'm surprised the Padres are where they are, but the fact that they are where they are, given they haven't gotten production from those three, it could be a good sign.
I as a pitcher, I looked up the Padres lineup, and to your point, nothing from Machado, nothing from Tatis terrifies me, because at some point that's going to turn around. Those guys are going to figure it out. Tatis hit his first homer the other day. It's like it's only a matter of time before Tatis gets hot, Machado gets hot, and
at this point, those feel like big ifs. Like, are they?
Also, he did not hit his first home run the other day. He still has not homered.
Yeah, that was a fake viral clip.
Did I get sentled?
You got NBA sentled.
I got sentled. Wow. 0 home runs.
Still zero. Yep.
It was a fake tweet, because I got two, and then I looked at the box.
It looked like a home run. I thought it was a home run,
but from last year.
Oh,
they were messing around.
Don't know ball.
Jesus, man.
Yeah. God, making me look bad in front.
Yeah.
Sorry, I couldn't leave that there. He's still zero.
It's like it's still zero. Alden, can you, from your perspective, provide some, I guess not clarity, but like, what's it like being around Shohei Ohtani and just the madness around the Dodgers? Like, when they come to Miami, they're big crowds, but anytime I turn on a Dodgers game, anytime there's like a Hello Kitty giveaway or something related to Ohtani, like, there's people in line for 6 hours like it's the first iPhone. Like, what has Ohtani madness been like in LA, and just what has he done for baseball in LA and on the West Coast?
I mean, there's an entire culture that has been built around Shohei Ohtani. And like, you're right. Like, it seems like every homestand, there is at least one game where there are fans lined up along the street, heading up to Vince Scully Boulevard, waiting for the gates to open so they can get the giveaway. Even though, by the way, every fan is going to get the giveaway. They still line up. Every single day, there are multiple tours going through Dodger Stadium with a lot of people who come from Japan just to do this, just to say that they got close enough to Shohei Ohtani, that like they were in the same ballpark as him. It's packed every day. As a media member, there's like every day in the Dodgers clubhouse, there are like 60 to 70 media members after a game. Okay, even like on games where he does not pitch. I was in San Diego yesterday. I could not get into Dave Roberts' office after the game. Like, we did not fit. Okay, like that's what it's like to cover Shohei Ohtani. The big takeaway that I had recently was he was going through this hitting slump that was like maybe as long and as bad as a hitting slump as he's had, definitely since he joined the Dodgers, but maybe ever in the major leagues, except for 2020 when he was just a mess. And like, it just occurred to me just the amount of pressure that is on this guy to maintain both the hitting and the pitching at these elite levels. Because anytime one of them drops off, even a little bit, there starts all these questions about, should he be doing this? Should he be just hitting? Or maybe should he just be pitching? Like, everybody slumps. Everybody goes through like rough times as a pitcher. And like, it's almost like he's not allowed to, right? Like, it's sort of like it's kind of his lot in life that anytime something drops off, he has all this noise around him about quitting being a two-way player. And that's got to be tough.
I always wonder the toll it takes on his body. And I mean, I just appreciate, I was a pitcher. I can't imagine on my non-start days batting leadoff in the best lineup in baseball and doing it to the level that he does at an MVP level. So I have such an appreciation watching Ohtani, and it blows my mind. And it takes you to a level like, is he the best player ever? I don't know. I don't want to put that on him, but like, you're watching him do two of the most difficult things in the sport at the same time at an MVP Cy Young level. And it's like, he's not a real human being. So, I mean, for me, it's a joy to watch. I wish we had him closer to home. I wish we didn't have to wait Pacific time to watch the Dodgers on MLB TV, but you find yourself at night, I got to watch. You can't unsee what Shohei Ohtani's doing. Alden, we really appreciate you coming on. We're going to get you out on this. We love to do way too early predictions. Give us your AL winner, your NL winner, and your eventual World Series champ.
Ooh, you put me on the spot right now. Okay, I'm going to go. Actually, yeah, I'm going chalk here. I think it's going to be, man, Dodger fans are going to hate me for this.
Yes.
I think it's going to be Yankees-Braves. Yankees win the World Series.
Wow. Eric had the Yankees getting 28 this year, too.
Yeah.
We'll see how Garrett Cole comes back. I think he comes back on Friday.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So, and if Max Fried is healthy, like that team has everything it needs.
Yeah.
And I think it might be their time.
Finally.
Come on. Come on.
I'm just kidding. I'm not even a Yankees
The guy
fan.
in an A's hat saying, come on.
We'll always have 2003.
Hey, 97 too, man. That was, how old were you in 97? You were like 10?
I was prime baseball age. I was 11 years old, 10, 11 years old. Yeah.
Well, actually,
I went to the games. I went to game 6.
There we go, man. Come on, before you hang up, before you are a great father and you go pick up your kids from school, give us your fondest Marlins memory, man. Like I think it's amazing that one of ESPN's national baseball writers is a Marlins fan. So take us back in time a little bit. Give us one or two of your favorite Marlins memories.
Okay, this is going to be kind of a deeper cut.
We love deep cuts here.
Okay, look, anybody could say like Edgar Renteria getting the base hit up the middle, or Pudge like holding on to the baseball like with the play at home plate or whatever. Like, sure, that's fine. My favorite was and maybe I hope I get the year correct here, but I think it was the 1995 All-Star Game. I was such a massive Jeff Conine fan. Like, huge Jeff Conine fan. And I used to listen to the games on the radio in Spanish. And I remember, like, there was a call, like, I'm sure you remember Fellow Ramirez. Yeah. He used to have, like, this call for Jeff Conine every time he hit a home run. So, like, I love Jeff Conine. And I think, like, Jeff Conine came in as a pinch hitter late in that game.
Yep.
And he had, like, the game-winning home run. And he won, like, All-Star Game MVP.
In Texas, right?
In Texas. And, like, just for like, a Marlins player to win like All-Star Game MVP, like I felt so seen, right? Like it was like, that was my favorite moment. I think I was like, what, 9 years old, 8 years old? Like that was my peak baseball moment. Like, look, Chuck Carr was like my favorite player. I love watching Chuck Carr. I love Kilby O'Veris. Alex Gonzalez, I still say. I had this conversation literally with Chris Woodward, the Dodgers infield coach, the other day. I told him Alex Gonzalez is the best defensive shortstop that I have ever seen in my life.
Wow.
Because that man made every difficult play look so easy.
Respect Seabass. Yeah. Respect Seabass.
Like, I just loved watching that man play shortstop. I loved watching Walt Weiss play shortstop, but I was too young. But Jeff Conine winning All-Star Game MVP was my favorite moment.
Well, Alden, thank you. And for people listening, if this is your first introduction to Alden, you have to go to ESPN.com and read his article on the Marlins. Correct me if I'm wrong here, Alden. The title is Miami Marlins Going to Extremes to Fix the Franchise. And you could read that on ESPN.com under the MLB tab. And follow Alden across all social medias, right? You want to drop your handle, Alden, and any PSAs?
I'm on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it. Alden_Gonzalez on Instagram, just Alden Gonzalez. Yeah.
Amazing. Well, Alden, thank you so much, man.
Yeah, this was fun. I appreciate it, guys.
Yeah, the pleasure is ours. If you come to Miami, when the Dodgers come to Miami, you got a Flanagan's dinner on us.
Ooh, love that. As long as it's the one in Kendall.
Yes. All right, Alden. Thank you, man. Appreciate you.
Later, guys. Take care.
See ya.